Everything started because around 9 years ago, my background is I'm an aerospace engineer, and effectively I was working for Rolls-Royce.
Do you manage your team remotely, or how do you do that?
I feel that once you go beyond 30 people, it starts to go from being a service business to a people business.
Can you just give me 3 actionable advices to manage such a big team?
Yeah, so I would say the first thing is communications.
You have mentioned that the communication is the key, and you have been managing multiple teams. So, what tools or AI automations you have been using within Ecomcy to, you can say, streamline everything?
Yeah. So I would say tools are very useful for us.
So actually, the barrier to entry in this niche where you are providing services is pretty low. So how do you differentiate and stay ahead as compared to your competitors? What are the 3 main channels for revenue generation, for sales generation in Ecomcy? So people are learning a lot of things from you through this podcast and your content as well. But I would like to ask, how did you learn these skills about the R&D and business development?
Everything in this work can be reverse engineered, like any result, any outcome.
Imagine if you are starting over Ecomcy in 2025. So what will be your next step? Give us just a step-by-step brief. Welcome everyone. I am your host Awab Ilahi, co-founder of Eleevate Logistics. And today with me, I have a very good friend, Vincenzo Toscano, founder of Ecomcy, a full services e-commerce agency. And interestingly, at Ecomcy, they have helped over 1,000 brands to build successfully on Amazon and platforms like Walmart as well. So, Vincenzo, welcome here. And how are you doing today?
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation, Wab. It's a pleasure to be here. So yeah, everything is going all right. Like as I was telling you, we've been doing quite a few trips for the last couple of months. We're in Indonesia, then in Prague, now getting ready for Prosper in Vegas. So I think yeah, it's gonna be a couple of exciting weeks ahead for sure. Yeah.
So that sounds, you can say, hectic start to the year. So I was,
Yes.
you can say, thinking about that. I have seen you around every corner of the world. So do you have a permanent place, man, or you are just a nomad?
Yeah, it's funny because every single time I have this conversation, is people think like, oh, you must have like a clan, or you must have like a hidden brother because you're always around. But yes, like it's something that from the very beginning when I founded Ecomcy, it's been something that helped us a lot to grow, like being out there, meeting with our partners, meeting with clients, shaking people's hands in person. I think that's definitely something that allows to stand from the rest. And events is always been at the heart of what we do, like being able to put content out there, add value to the community is something that we enjoy. So yeah, I think there's going to be many more opportunities where potentially we're going to meet.
Uh, so that I was just, you can say, going around, and I have found a very interesting thing, common thing between you and me. So actually, I am a chemical engineer myself, but I am into supply chain and logistics from last 5 years. And
Wow,
I was saying that you are an aerospace engineer and
that's right.
have done some time job at Rolls Royce as well. But then you moved to e-commerce. So I just want to know how this switch actually.
Yeah, so everything started because around 9 years ago, my background is I'm an aerospace engineer, and effectively I was working for Rolls-Royce, which is one of the main companies here in the UK when it comes to aerospace. They specialize in doing turbine engines for airplanes. It's funny because a lot of people think that the main source of income for Rolls-Royce is actually cars, but that's actually not the case. In fact, most cars, all the cars made of when it comes to Rolls-Royce, is a private level deal with BMW. So it's actually a German car, not a British car anymore. But yeah, the aerospace division is very big, and I was working there with Rolls-Royce for around 2 years. And the reason why e-commerce came into the picture is because for the very beginning, like always, I wanted to have something of my own, like in terms of my own business, be able to control time, how much money I could make, where I could be at any given time. So that's where I remember when I was looking online, Amazon FBA was becoming a hot topic back then. and I just started to go deep into that. Like in terms of using my salary as an engineer, I was putting everything pretty much every single month into launching random products, see what would work, figure out the platform, how to do advertising, how to pretty much master the marketplace. And after a couple of months, things started to go very well to the point that I was doing much better with that than my actually engineering job, and that's where I decided to go all in. I quit my job and I decided I give myself 1 year to see if I go all in e-commerce, if that could be something better than being an engineer in terms of working. And then I never went back. From there, the business started growing more and more. I started going to different events, different masterminds. I started to identify another opportunity, which is not only you could make a business out of selling, but you could also make a business out of supporting other people. I found a lot of people had great products, great brands, but they were lacking the execution, the technical side of things, which is something that I always like, given my engineering background, and start helping a couple of friends in the industry. Those people refer me to other people, and back then it was only myself, and then now today we are around 67 people in the team, so we've been growing significantly since then, and we do everything in house now. It grew from the beginning only as a consulting business to the point that now we do full account management. So we're pretty much a one-stop solution for business that want to scale on Amazon, Walmart, and TikTok, and we just make everything in house for you while hopefully you can have a chill time. Yeah.
That sounds a pretty interesting journey, and you can say it's really interesting that how you made that switch. So that's really amazing. So I just wanted you to add one thing. If anyone want to reach out Ecomcy or want to hire Ecomcy, so what's the process actually? What they need to do?
Yeah, usually working with us is pretty straightforward. Of course, at the end of the day, we first want to make sure that we can add value to you and we can, bring a contribution that's gonna bring an increment that's actually gonna be meaningful for your business. So that's why that initial kind of discovery call is very important for us to understand where you are, where you want to get, and how potential we can come as partners and make it happen. So I just invite everybody to just go to our website at ecomcy.com, where you can book a free consultation with us, and hopefully there we can figure out a way for us to add value to you. Yeah.
Sure, so that's good. So actually, you just mentioned that you have a you can say pretty big team now, more than 65 members. So I
Yeah.
just want to know how you manage your team. Do you manage your team remotely, or how do you do that actually?
Yeah. So yeah, 100%. Like having a team of this size is definitely not easy. Like there's always things that are gonna go wrong. Is the nature of things. I feel that once you go beyond 30 people, it starts to go from being a service business to a people business, in the sense that most of the issues that we encounter at this scale is more to do with HR, having the right people on board, things that have to do more with the actual person than the actual handling of clients, and that's definitely the case as the company will get bigger, because when you have so many people that rely on you, and each people have their own personality, each person has their own issues, or each person has their own ambitions, it's difficult sometimes to align all those into a common goal, which is the company, right? But I would say we have pretty good culture. We're very transparent when it comes to how we usually deal with the work culture. We uh, dive deeply into the nomad approach, in the sense that most of our team is spread globally. We don't have a like we have an office in London, but most of the people realistically just work from home. I'm a huge believer that I don't really believe in the culture of tracking hours. I don't like that. I'm more about like results. So for me, as long as the results are there and your performance and clients are happy, then I'm happy, right? So that's why our people is very happy. It comes, in fact, in the last 6 years, I believe out of the 60 plus people, we only had a person living, and what was due to health issues and personal reasons. So
Oh.
like people is very happy with us, and so yeah, I'm proud of that for sure. Yeah.
So that's a pretty strong retention rate. I
Yeah.
am pretty sure the people at your company are enjoying the, you can say, relaxation of, you can say, working hours as well, and they are pretty enjoying your
Yeah.
company. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
So,
say I have a huge culture when it comes to treating my people like I always incentivize all of them to be like entrepreneurs, in the sense that I want them all to have the flexible schedule, the way of doing things, and I always open the conversation for them to teach me things that maybe I don't know. And I think I'm always about more a collaboration approach, right? And typical corporate approach, which is you have a boss and you have to follow everything that the boss says, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's been very healthy for us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So can you just give me three actionable advices to meet to manage such a big team? Which you can
Yeah.
give me?
Yeah, so I would say the first thing is communication. So I would say when you have a team of that size, the most important thing is to make sure that you create a safe space for people to come to you and share the real struggles and what they sometimes looking to achieve out of this collaboration working with you. So every single week we have multiple calls with team members. We always make very transparent that nobody's perfect. If we do mistakes, it's fine, but at the same time we have a strong culture that all these mistakes have to be essentially the price for us to become better, right? So what do we learn out of this mistake, how we are creating a system out of this mistake to be better, and out of this how we can make sure this can be used as an example for our team members. So I would say communication, transparency on all the things that we do is being key. The second thing that we bring always to the table in terms of how we create a very strong culture is that in our team usually we try to create what we call sub teams within the bigger team. So we have of course Ecomcy as the corporation, but then within Ecomcy you have mini Ecomcies, we can call it. We have Ecomcy PPC, Ecomcy branding, Ecomcy logistics, Ecomcy backend operations. And I think having these pockets of um, for a way for you to differentiate the power and the hierarchy in the company is also very important, because that's allow each of those pockets within the company to develop their all their own kind of SOPs, their own way of doing things, and that is very healthy, right? And having a huge approach where all the teams are combining, and then nobody has enough time to fall into intimacy between their team members to develop a chemistry that's then going to be reflected into good performance to the clients. And the third one, so what I talk about communication and transparency. The second one is being very clear in terms of how you divide your teams depending on the business units. And I would say the third one, which has always been a big thing when it comes to a culture, is learning. So usually what happens is that once you start growing a team of this size, it becomes very difficult to then make sure that the standard stays the same across the whole company, in the sense that you want to make sure that as new people on board the company, they're always matching the new standards, or the level of expertise that you're looking your clients to achieve, and in general all the system that you need the new team members to match to make sure everything runs smoothly. So we make sure that every single new person that joins the team go through a robust kind of training process and a orientation kind of period, and we make sure they go on shadow mode with calls and with and the system that we do in the back end, reporting creation, the technicality, at least for 1 to 2 months, because that makes sure that once they effectively then having an interaction directly with the client, they already understand what are the expectations that the client's being used to, right? So that's very important, because if you grow very fast and you don't have a system that makes new team members to get on board smoothly, that's where things start to go sideways, because then everything becomes like a carnival. Everybody does whatever they want, and that's not really healthy for the company, right? So I would say so. Those are some of the main ones. Yeah.
Yeah, these really add value. So I just wanted to ask another thing. So you have mentioned that the communication is the key, and you have been managing multiple teams. So what tools or AI automations you have been using within Ecomcy to, you can say, streamline everything?
Yeah. So I would say tools are very useful for us. So Slack is something that we use a lot within Ecomcy for communication with clients, and making sure everything is transparent in terms of all the work that is being done. The second thing is Monday. Monday is a tool that we use for management purposes. So to break down the projects, what is the team doing, what are the tasks that are pending, everything that effectively the team has to be aware of from a project management perspective to make sure that we're always hitting our deadlines. The third thing that is very useful tool for us when it comes to the agency is we use heavily artificial intelligence. Specifically, we have a custom chat GPT. So custom chat GPT is effectively you can create a chat GPT that's custom and tailored to your specific needs. In this case, to the agency. So on this custom chat GPT, we have put all our systems inside of it. So that means all our SOPs, all our case studies, all our contracts, all our learnings, all our mistakes, everything. So effectively, what that happens has all the database of what Ecomcy has done for the last 6 years, and every single time a person has an issue, most likely we already encountered that issue in the past, right? Or a specific challenge or whatever. So that's been something that's been very useful because in the past when we didn't have that, a lot of those issues would get escalated to me or COO or the different directors on the respective team bubbles. But now when you have AI that effectively can look back and learn from it, it's much more effective. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good that you have been using the AI in its early stages right now, because I think after 1 2 years, every agency have to adopt these tools and AI as well. So it's good that you are doing it earlier. So you maybe you can streamline your process in a better way. So I was just seeing that on LinkedIn, on you can say on web. So actually, the barrier to entry in this niche where you are providing services is pretty low. In Pakistan or in Asia, every other day, new five agencies are created. So how do
Yeah.
you differentiate and stay ahead as compared to your competitors?
Yeah. So 100%, like the agency space is very saturated. There's a lot of competitors. I think something that's being key for us, and that's the reason why we are where we are, is that we've always been very transparent with our journey. So from the very beginning, I have documented everything in the shape of podcasts, webinars, newsletter, blogs, social media. So I always show where I am, what I'm doing, where I'm speaking. So that's a lot of transparency. And at the end of the day, that is effectively we can call it a summarize in the shape of what we call a personal brand. So we invest a lot of time on personal brand, me specifically, and I think that's something that really make us stand from the crowd because most agencies out there unfortunately rely on outreach. That means call emails or cold calling. And I feel those days are getting more and more towards an end because now is we are on a phase where people are getting bombarded by all these offers all the time, and people now really want to work with people that they trust and they feel connected or they feel some similarity, right? And a cold email, a cold call that they don't even know who is trying to reach out to them. So that's why, going back to the initial point, I do so much travel and so many events because I know for a fact that there are pretty much no agencies out there that is being on the ground as often as me, and that creates the trust that I'm always going to be reachable whenever you have an issue, right? I'm going to be there for you. So that's something the clients also feel and create that trust for deciding, all right, I go with this guy that is definitely showing that he's doing what he preaches, right? And other
Yeah.
people like it's not, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it's this way it's easier for the people, for the clients to trust you actually. So transparency, it actually has helped us a lot to grow as well in logistics sector. So that's a pretty good thing you have been
The same
doing.
for
So
you've been doing the same, which is good, like going to events, meeting people in person. I think that's definitely
yeah.
adds a lot of value, Yeah.
Oh, yes. So you have mentioned a little about the revenue streams in your Ecomcy as well, but I would just like to know what are the three main channels for revenue generation, for sales generation in Ecomcy?
Yeah, so I would say the main generation of leads for us is usually referrals. So that's something that it's actually good because it means that most of the people actually comes to us due to word of mouth because we had recommended, a friend had a good experience, another partner, and that usually makes the job for us very easy when it comes to converting because when people refer us and they show the things that we have done for them, the trust is already built to a standard that if you do a very good initial call with them and show them what you can do to them and highlight what are some of the issues, I don't see why they wouldn't go with you in the first place. So that's usually the first one for sure, referrals, and that comes down to partnership. Partnership are built at the end of the day with what I've been doing, which is what I say, like traveling, meeting people in person, creating those relationships. So I would say, as an agency, I would put a lot of focus on that. The second thing is content generation. So that comes in the shape of podcasts, blogs, newsletter, anything that is in the shape of putting value out there from a strategy point of view. And I would say the third one, which also is very good for us, is events. Like events, it's also a place where we get a lot of leads and exposure. But besides those three initial like channels, because I get this question asked a lot, we don't do call email, or we don't do cold calling. So we actually never done any outreach. Most of the things come to us, which is something we have to work on for sure. But that's just to prove the point that if you build a good brand and a good name in the industry, like most of the time, things eventually gonna start coming towards you, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I believe that what works for you, you just have to double down the effort on that thing instead of just, you can say, trying the other channels. So if events and content is working for you, that's pretty good. And so I just wanted to ask how big impact that content creation is actually, you can say, putting on the revenue generation or leads for the e-commerce. So I have seen you are making a lot of content.
Yeah. So I would say content. I mean, I would say contents depending on the month, of course, because some months are fluctuate depending how many events we do, how many new partnership we bring to the table. But usually, content give us at least 40 to 50% of the exposure, right? So it's very important. I would say content is something that has to be always part of the formula. And I always recommend everybody, like, if you're not doing content, you're definitely missing out, especially in LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn, like a lot of times what we're seeing is sometimes people before hiring us, they will go to LinkedIn and see if you're putting things out there, if you're connected and things like that. And I think if you don't have anything online that shows that you are consistent with the value you put out there compared to another potential agency that is looking to compete for this lead, you most likely are going to lose it, because people's always going to go where the attention is. Like attention drives money always, 100%. So if you're not creating attention in the market, lead is going to go away. Yeah.
So people are learning a lot of things from you through this podcast and your content as well. But I would like to ask, how did you learn these skills about the R&D and business development?
So it's funny, like, yeah, people ask me if I did any kind of course or anything, but a lot of the things that have to do with the business and the agency and everything, uh, most of it, in fact, come from intuition. Like, I never really took a course or anything that teach me how to do business. Like, what I did do though is a lot of podcasts, of course, books, things like that. That 100% I did, but I never like I had a coach or anything. Like a lot of the things I feel, especially in business, usually the best decision come from your gut. Like if you have that gut feeling that this is the right decision to make, or this is the direction you should take, most of the time that's the right decision. So trust your intuition. And I would say, to conclude on that, is like, um I would say try to find somebody in the industry, regardless, depending, of course, on what are you looking to achieve, that has already made it in that sense, and try to reverse engineer like what they have done. Like everything is funny because people make fun of that when I say that, but everything in this work can be reverse engineered. Like any result, any outcome can be reverse engineered. Like there is a series of actions and interaction that will give that outcome, and that means if you reverse engineer what kind of travel that guy was doing, what kind of connection he did, what kind of content he did, what kind of spaces he put himself to get there. If you try to find all those signals and you try to replicate them, maybe you're not gonna get 100% there, but most likely you're gonna get 70% there, and that's good enough to then get to the next phase, right? So yeah.
That's a pretty good advice, and I believe a lot of people can get help from it and can grow their business like yours. So I would just like to ask, you have told a lot about the, you can say, delegation of task in your agency in Ecomcy, but I would
Yeah.
like to ask, what are some tasks that as a founder you would never want to delegate, or you cannot delegate to the to
Mm.
others in your team?
So I would say a task that for me is very important is content creation. Like I love content. Again, it also depends to what you like and what you don't like. Some people don't like to do content, so if that you don't like it, you have to delegate that. But content creation is something that I enjoy. Therefore, I try to keep that um, over my desk at all times. But things that, for example, I also don't recommend removing is strategic decisions when it comes to business development. Sometimes key hiring, like a C-level hiring, that's something that you should keep on board on. And then anything that has to do with the culture and impact of your company, like certain systems, certain traditions. Like at the end of the day, when you are the CEO and founder of a company, you are the one that is giving the direction to the boat in terms of where we're going, and you need to make sure that your actions are always broken down in the shape of specific tasks and milestones for the team to achieve, for that direction to be achieved, right? That end goal. So I would say anything that has to do with that should always stay over your desk in terms of decision making. But things such as admin work, like I don't know, like accounting, taxes, or reports, or APIs, things that
Yeah.
my team can do. That's something that for sure I wouldn't be doing myself now at this level. Like right now, my focus, anything that brings revenue or exposure to the business, is my role. Besides that, it's my team. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, that sounds interesting. So I would just like to move to our last question. So actually, I just want you to ask, imagine if you are starting over Ecomcy in 2025.
Yeah.
So you can say, what will be your next step? Give us just a step-by-step brief for that.
Yeah, so if I had to start again, so the first thing I will do is start going to events and gatherings and meetups. Like there is a lot of them that are free, so you're gonna find a lot of them that you don't have to pay. And then I will start shaking hands with people in the industry. I remember that was one of the main things that had me grow a lot, because once you start going to all these events and you start being there and you start taking a picture and you start meeting a person, you sit down, that creates familiarity. And when familiarity kicks in, then that opens the door for people that is on those events or gatherings to potentially say, oh, but tell me more about what you do. And then once they ask you that and you tell them what you do, they might give you a small project, and then you show them that you're good. They will give you a bigger project. They will then recommend you to another person. That will create a snowball effect, right? But I would say at the end of the day, I'm a huge believer that you're the average of the people you spend the most time with. And if you're not surrounding yourself with people that is where you are, or at least go in the direction that you want, you're gonna struggle. Like I think I know there's the big culture that you need to hustle, 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 stay home and work on the business before you can get out there and network. But I think that's actually the opposite. I'm a big believer that if you don't see what you want to achieve, how you in the first place gonna um, essentially condition your mind to work towards that. And what I mean is, like, you need to expose yourself towards either the materialistic thing. Let's say you're gonna buy a specific house, or the career side of things. You want to achieve specific position in your industry. If you don't expose close to that person, close to that materialistic thing, your brain is not going to be able to then tell, okay, that's what I want, that's how I feel when I'm close to it, that's what I effectively want to achieve. And therefore just then start filtering all your decision making and behavior to get you there, right? So yeah, so that's my advice.
So I think that that's a pretty good advice for the people who are starting new in this niche, or who are just struggling to grow their agencies. So that's a pretty actionable advice for them. So how they can grow their business, and you can say make bigger agencies in this niche. So, Vincenzo, thank you for your time, and I really appreciate your efforts and the advices you have given here. I believe and I hope that people will learn a lot from this, and they will take action on this too. So, thank you
Yeah,
for your time,
thank you.
and looking forward to meet you again, maybe somewhere in some other corner of the world next time.
Yes. Yes,
So
for sure. Pleasure
yeah.
is mine. Thank you so
So
much for having me, Awad. And yeah, looking forward to meet you in person soon again. Other than that, for everybody listening, yeah, feel free to reach out to me. Like you can find Vincenzo Toscani on the socials or LinkedIn. More than happy to answer any questions and add value where possible. Yeah.
yeah. So, Vincenzo, we will just move to our rapid fire session. So,
Mhm.
I have just a few questions for you. So, you can just
Yeah.
give a quick answer to that. So, work from home or office?
I work from home.
One book every entrepreneur should read.
Profit first.
Okay. So, if you had 10 extra hours in a week, what new skill you would like to learn?
Meditation.
That's good. So, best e-commerce event you have ever attended.
Prosper. Yeah.
Okay, and the prosper is coming again now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So don't
so
miss
one
out.
country you have, yeah, yeah. So one country you haven't visited yet but want to.
Eh, I want to go to Australia. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So I was in Australia. You can say last year. So that's pretty a good place to
Yeah.
spend some
Good.
time. Yeah, some spend some peaceful time actually. Yeah,
Good. That's awesome.
yeah. So what's your favorite city in the world?
Favorite city in the world? Interesting. Hmm. I have to say London. I like London a lot, to be honest. Yeah. When it's good weather, though.
Okay. That's So, what's the worst travel experience you have ever had?
Best travel experience, definitely when I went to Thailand. Yeah, Thailand.
Okay, okay. So last year you went to Thailand.
Yeah, I think Thailand was a very nice trip. Good experiences and yeah, so it was very nice. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, okay. So, what's one e-commerce expert you would love to have a business dinner with?
It has to be from the industry or in general, entrepreneur.
So you can say in general as well.
So I would like to have a dinner, Mark Cuban. Yeah, for sure. That would be interesting dinner.
Okay, okay. So what's the most random skill you have?
The most random skill.
Yeah, most random skill you have.
Well, I think that is something most people don't know, but I used to be a professional paintball player. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good. So what's the most adventurous thing you have ever done?
Most adventure things I have done. Let's see. Well, I did like I think like I did like a crazy zip line thing in Bali
Oh,
actually 2 weeks ago, so it was pretty nice. Yeah.
that, that's good. So, so scaling or profitability, which should sellers focus on first?
Scale.
Okay, scaling. So, if you have to pick only one PPC or influencer marketing,
I will say PPC first to get the ball rolling, and the influencer marketing for sure. Yeah.
okay. So what's the hardest part of running an agency like Ecomcy?
So I would say is the fact that every single day you have to pretty much go to work, so you have to be ready to be spontaneous and fix things on the fly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, which Ecomcy service is the highest in demand?
PPC for sure. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. So, so what's the most important thing, conversion or traffic?
Conversion. Yeah.
Okay. So, one product category you would never sell.
I think a pro category will never sell is clothing. It's very complex. Clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And the returns are pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, what's the ideal profit margin for an e-commerce brand these days?
15%.
Okay, okay. And what's the ideal margin for an e-commerce agency?
Around 20%.
Okay, okay. So, how long does it take to build a seven-figure brand online on Amazon or some other place?
So usually you realize it depends a lot on the product, but usually I will say around a minimum of a year is required. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, I would just like to ask if you're comfortable answering that. So, what's the growth rate for Ecomcy in 2024?
So I would say last year was pretty good for us. Like last year was 5x for us. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, and what are you targeting this year?
This year we're targeting at least 5x or more.
Oh, that's you can say pretty good, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish you best of luck for achieving that
Thank you.
target. So
Thank you.
we are also pushing this year because we previously we were just into you can say providing services, logistics, but we were more into you can say local clientele, the people which are working from Pakistan. But last year we just started to you can say get some international clients, and that's why you have seen me in the you can say in Singapore as well, and now my partner will be going into you can say US as well in this week,
That's good.
so maybe we can just visit some more events. And the thing you mentioned about the reverse engineering, so we are just trying to reverse engineer your strategies as well a little bit.
That's awesome. Feel free
so
to ask
so
me anything. Always happy to help where possible.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Because my partner will be meeting you, you can say in US as well, and hopefully, I will meet you as well in some other event. And I am really looking forward to learn things from you as well. And as you have mentioned that you have a logistics section as well in Ecomcy,
Yeah.
so I would really be interested to you can say talk a little more about it and see if where if we can fit together somewhere and we can work together on the logistics side.
Yeah, of course. That would be awesome. I
So,
think for
yeah,
sure we
sure,
can
sure,
do something right there. Yeah, yeah.
sure. So I will ask Glenn as well if you both guys get time in US to have a little chat. So maybe you can have discussion about that there as well. So we can see if we can be your you can say shipping partner from China. So that will be pretty great for us.
Sure. That would be great. Like for sure we'll be open for that. I think we can do something great there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Because we have been, you can say, pushing a lot these years to make our customer support better as well. So I would just really, you can say, I would also like to do partnerships, more partnerships this year.
Good. The partnership is key,
So I
man.
would,
The more
yeah,
partnership, the more business. Yeah.
yeah, sure. And I would, and for you can say, for second quarter of this year, I would like to start with you.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's do that.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So, do you have any question for me or anything you just wanted to discuss?
No, I think that's
Just
everything
tell
for now. Like, I appreciate the opportunity. It's been awesome. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to meet you in person soon. Yeah.
Sure. Have a good time and wish you best of luck for the events in US as well. And thank
Thank
you
you.
again for giving me time joining us. Thank you
Thank you.
very much for that.
Thank you. Pleasure.